Oh my
Ooh,
God. Okay.
wow.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
All right, I'll do the thing.
Do that damn thing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cape Time. We are back and better than ever. Tom, how's it going?
I'm okay. Some were some were making bets. Who would get back together? Who would get back together quicker, Oasis or us? Oasis beat us by a couple days.
Never thought I'd see that.
Bloody right, mate. All right. Sorry, that was bad. But yes, we're back. It's we 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 didn't fight. There was no sibling rivalry here
Just
comparing to
life.
always. Yeah, just like I was busy. I've been working.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, yeah, shit's crazy. Okay, so now we're back. We There were some movies that came out. There was some news that came out. There was even some news that came out today. So
Yes.
there's a lot of shit going on. So now it is our job to talk about it.
Yes. And today, what we're going to be doing, this is going to be a DC centric episode. Basically,
Mhm.
because it's been so long, there's no way we can do all Marvel, all in DC in one episode. Not possible. So instead, we're going to split it up. Today's going to be the State of DC episode. We're going to go into everything happening in the DC universe over I don't even know. Whenever we were on last, there's a lot. There is a lot since then.
Indeed, there is. Indeed, there is. There, there's quite a few things to talk about with DC. Um, Mostly, I mean, things I feel are looking up,
Depending on who you talk to, yes, I believe up as well.
up, 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 up and away. Some would say. Um, so yeah, I mean, you know, there, yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. So
Yeah, and I think we should just start with today's news since it's so fresh in our minds.
indeed, it is. Oh yes. Would you like to say it, or would you like me to say it?
I'll put it out there. Right now, it appears that an offer for the role of Hal Jordan is out there, and it is offered to Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Not the name I was expecting, but
No, not at all.
for what they're going for, like I always look at casting choices. Whenever I look at casting choices, I think of, okay, what have they already revealed about like the plot and the tone that they're going for? And so, for a Green Lantern True Detective kind of show, I feel like he fits. Like that just kind of fits. And they're going for an older Al Jordan, and they want to do a younger John Stewart, who I would expect to be the Green Lantern when inevitably they go do Justice League in however many years.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really interested in this casting choice. I mean, like you said, not something I expected. I knew they were going to go older because that's kind of what the word has been that they're going to kind of do the old cop, new cop kind of thing
Hmm.
in Lanterns with John Stewart being the young one and Hal Jordan being the older cop. But I was thinking more it was going to be along the lines of like, maybe he was going to be
40s.
in his like mid to early 40s, but he's Josh Brolin's pushing 60. So that's definitely a little older than I expected. And look,
Josh Brolin
it's
parks the wrong way. He's in a wheelchair.
right,
So,
right. So, there's been a lot of talk about this already today. I talked with a lot of different people, got a lot of perspectives, and I understand those who aren't in love with the pick, but I'll say this. If you wanted him and John Stewart to be a little closer in age, to be more of a tandem working side by side for the future of DC, I
yeah,
can
more like
understand.
Big Brother, Little
Yeah,
Brother.
right. I can understand why you wouldn't love the pick if that's what you wanted, because that's obviously not what we're getting at all.
Hmm.
The word is right now John Stewart's probably going to be in his 20s, so that's going to be a 30 plus year age gap here, depending on when in his 20s.
I'm old
So
enough to be your dad.
right, like literally, like that's the kind of gap we're going to get here. And I think that's going to be serve for a really interesting relationship between the two, honestly. So I really have no issue with that. I've always been in the mind of whatever serves the story, I'm kind of for, honestly, as long as you aren't alienating the audience too much, and I don't think this does that. I really don't think so. We always knew it was going to be again older and younger. It's a little more than we expected, but in the end, how much of a difference does that really make? If you think that Josh Brolin isn't right for the role, then that's a different discussion. That I can have more of a discussion about. I honestly, for what it's worth, when I look at older pictures of Josh Brolin, like from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, he does really look like he could fit Hal Jordan. Like even today, like he looks like the older vintage golden age kind of Hal Jordan. Like he fits that kind of look of the character fairly well, even now, in a lot of ways, I think. But he's gonna definitely be a different kind of Green Lantern than I think I initially expected. I think there's gonna be a little bit more of a darkness to him, like we've seen in some iterations of the character.
Hmm.
Not saying he's necessarily gonna be a villain, especially not right off the bat. No chance, in my opinion, for that. And there shouldn't be. That would be a little too much. But I do think there will be some undertones there to this iteration of the character just based on the potential choice of Josh Brolin, who, by the way, I do really do think will land in the role in the end.
Yeah, it's one of those casting choices where it's like, huh, didn't see that coming. Um, but the more you think about it, I think it's fine. Like, he's an Academy Award nominated actor. I'm sure he'll figure it out. Okay. Um, I'm interested to see the negotiations of getting him in a in the Green Lantern suit. Because he did wear the cable suit, so but I'm interested to see, you know, kind of what the costume will look like on him. Um, him wearing an actual like mask because he's never worn a mask. Like Cable didn't really wear a mask, and
Hmm.
with Thanos, he was mocapping and doing the acting,
Right.
he was in pajamas. Um, so yeah, he wa- interestingly enough, he was, if I remember correctly, he was one of the top choices for Zack Snyder's Batman before Affleck got it. So
Hmm.
this isn't his first rodeo with DC. He was also Jonah Hex many many years ago. We would prefer to forget about that movie. Um, truly, we would prefer to forget about that movie. But yeah, and it's ironic how Josh Brolin was in a comic book movie. If he accepts this offer, we're just gonna make the assumption that he'll accept. Um, he was in a movie with the other Hal Jordan, Ryan Reynolds. So that's just kind of ironic. But yeah, I mean, for an older, let's say, he's 56 now, so let's just assume that he'll be playing a little younger than how old he actually is. Let's say he'll
Maybe
be
like
like,
50 on the dot, I
yeah,
think could
maybe
be
maybe
it.
like anywhere from like 50 to 55.
Right.
Like I think he'll fit. I mean, he definitely, yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. Fuck it. And yeah, I'm definitely interested to see who gets the role of John Stewart because like they could do, Brolin's a pretty big name in the industry. He's one of those actors that carries like kind of a lot of clout, like because he's been in a lot of really solid stuff over the years. He's been in No Country for Old Men. He's been in True
Yeah.
Grit. Like,
Hmm.
so like usually whenever he's involved in something that's quality stuff, obviously he was in Avengers, he was in Deadpool, you know,
Hmm.
not just the comic book stuff, but the other stuff. He was even in the Goonies. Um, so yeah, I mean, he's just been around a while and he's always, done quality stuff. So, you know, I think you could probably cast a more, I would say, unknown John Stewart,
Hmm.
unknown actor for John Stewart, and have kind of Brolin kind of be kind of the big star on the poster, and then you kind of give a younger kind of guy who's trying to make a name for himself in this industry. You can give him the John Stewart role, and hopefully it's one of those situations where that guy kind of really steals the show and is like, oh shit, we got something here with this guy. And obviously, my assumption is that John Stewart will be kind of like the main Green Lantern going forward. And so like
Hmm.
you want to give that guy a shot and you want to nail that casting, whether it's a known actor or an unknown actor. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see who gets cast there, and I'm also excited to see kind of more details on this whole entire show because at face value, the concept of John and Hal kind of investigating a murder on Earth is kind of interesting. Well, it's very interesting, and also it's kind of like obviously Green Lantern's an intergalactic kind of story usually, and so having this story take place on Earth is actually really interesting because like I think some people are kind of like, well, I kind of want a Green Lantern show that's, in space and all that, which is understandable. But these are John and Hal both come from Earth. So it's just interesting to see, okay, what's obviously they're protectors of Earth, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of draws them to that murder and kind of all the clues that unravel. I
Right.
like
And
I
you,
like yeah, I like that whole concept.
me too. And for what it's worth, even though the show's set on Earth, doesn't mean we won't get glimpses of like
Oh
everything
yeah.
else in space too. I'm sure we'll get certain flashbacks. I'm sure they may report back to base and have certain conversations. Like there's going to be, a bit
Yeah.
of both, I think, even though primarily, of course, the show will be set on Earth. I wouldn't assume it's all going to be just on Earth. So for those worried about that, I would say just wait and see. It's not, set in stone one way or the other. But
Also remember this show isn't just going to be on HBO Max, it's going to be on HBO.
right.
Because remember they had that big announcement a couple months ago where they're like, yeah, we're giving the show the green light and it's not just going to be, put on streaming service. No, we're putting this shit on cable too.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's going to be the case for all of the DC shows pretty much. I mean, it's the live
Hmm.
action ones specifically.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but that was kind of like their big announcement. Like they kind of led with the Lantern show.
yes, because the thing is like, HBO is so synonymous with quality for people. Like people think of
Sopranos.
when people think of HBO shows, they think of legitimate television that has always been of the utmost quality. And I think that's
Yeah.
really huge because, when you look at something like Disney Plus, and this isn't meant to be an insult, this is just a fact. Like Disney Plus was a brand new thing starting from scratch. And, you were kind of taking a chance if you were joining the subscription there. But
Hmm.
like HBO and HBO Max, that's a model that's been tested already for brands that have nothing to do with the superhero genre. And now you're inserting them into HBO. So there are people
Hmm.
that just support HBO and that entire industry that are just going to watch the show because, oh, it's HBO. I'm sure they made something good and they're just going to watch it. They're going to give it that
Hmm.
chance. So I think I'm not saying that gives them an advantage necessarily, but it certainly is something to consider because that's going to help them in the long run, especially when you look at DC. And the fact of the matter is, they don't have, at least with the general public anymore, the same following that Marvel has. So they need, a little boost anywhere they can get, and this could be a little boost for them. So yeah, I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah, imagine if this show kind of hits the way True Detective season one hit, ironically, an HBO show. Um, so yeah, if that hits and it gets like a following, and like that's just good business. Like that, like because my parents watch HBO. Like you can really gain a new audience from
Yes.
putting it on cable instead of streaming. Because sometimes people are just flipping channels, kind of going on like you said, HBO is kind of known for its quality. I mean, you look at all the shows they've dropped over the years, like Sopranos, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Boardwalk Empire, you name it, True
Hmm.
Detective. So like you put on Lanterns and like Lanterns catches on, for example, even if it is quote unquote cape shit superhero show, if it catches on, people tune in every week and they find out, oh shit, those characters that we really like are going to be in a movie someday. Like, I think that could be really beneficial. And it's just good for gaining new fans of the characters as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, like you said before, Josh Brolin is a really huge name to get if they get him. So that's really good for DC. And really, I'm not going to go into any details on what the short list is because I'm not allowed to. But
Yeah.
it's a great short list. They have some really big names on there that they're considering. And obviously Brolin's the one they want because he's the one with the offer.
Can
But
you
even if
imagine if
it
they got Tom Cruise? That would have been funny.
I will say Tom Cruise would be pretty hilarious in that role. I
Tom,
would have no issues.
I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise would shoot someone before appearing on a television show, though.
No, it's
That guy,
ironic.
that guy's a movie show, a movie guy all the way.
He's 62 years old. He's actually older than Brolin.
Yeah, he's only 6 years older, which is
Yeah,
just kind of crazy. But yeah, um, but yeah, like you said, bro, it's interesting because I always kind of took Al for being kind of lighthearted of sorts. Probably because I saw the Ryan Reynolds movie, and
right.
like,
And that's a little different.
and so like, and Josh Brolin always kind of strikes me as kind of a drier, kind of grizzled, kind of, which kind of fits what they're doing because they're kind
Right.
of going for this kind of rugged. It was kind of described in the article by apocalyptic yeah, don't ask me to say that. Nexus Point News, I'll just say that. In their article, um they said he's kind of described as like a Green Lantern legend,
Hmm.
which is cool. It's like, oh, okay, interesting. And also, it's funny. This is gonna be this apparently this really intense kind of show about a murder in the American heartland, and you got this rugged kind of Hal Jordan, right? And you got this newcomer John Stewart, and then you got fucking Nathan Fillion coming in with his bowl cut, and it's like, oh my God, that's just yep, yeah.
I'm
But I'm
in.
excited to
I'm
see.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
here
in.
for it.
Yeah, sold.
Eh, sold. And John Stewart casting, like you said, I think it will go to an unknown probably. I don't know, but were just doing auditions with guys that are in their 30s, and I'm putting that out there because Jeff Snyder already talked about it. But
Hmm.
like he said that they were talking to like Aaron Pierre, who was actually supposed to be the villain of Blade for a while, if I recall correctly, but obviously
Mm.
that was before all the
Mahershala
yeah.
Ali is John Stewart.
Oh.
That would have been so funny. No, Mahershala is like the same age as Josh,
Yeah.
so that won't happen. Um,
And then what's it called? Damson Idris, he's another name they were looking at.
mhm.
But yeah, those guys
Jonathan
are
Majors
both
is
oh, ooh.
John Stewart. No, no, that's not happening.
Know what's ironic about that too?
Hmm.
Actually, I was gonna say he's closer to the age range. I thought he was a little younger. He's 34. I don't know why. In my head canon, he was like late 20s.
You know, John David Washington is John Stewart. He actually wouldn't be bad, but he's also kind of mid to late 30s now, I think. So he's kind of out of the age range.
He's actually
Um,
40 now.
oh my God, he looks so young.
Yeah, as I say, he's a good looking 40.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I hope I look like that when I'm 40. My God. So yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, yeah, probably a
um,
no name.
yeah, I would assume so as well. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of like potential names, and I just,
I'm
you know,
really bad
that's
for coming up with actors.
that's like one of those things where it's like I'm gonna trust the casting director on that one. Hopefully they get Jon Stewart right. Because he's a great character. I mean, you and I, we grew up with the DC animated universe, so we know Jon Stewart quite well from those days, the Justice League cartoon days. So yeah, I'm just
And
hoping they nail that.
yeah, and no, it's interesting because like I could be mistaken, but like John Stewart doesn't like have his own genuine like comic run. Like he's always just part of like other runs that include other characters. He never had like his own run. Like I've tried looking because I wanted to buy one like forever ago. I was like, like I want to read more about the character, but it's like, oh no, you gotta
Yeah,
look at this issue and this issue. I'm like, wait, like he
well,
doesn't have his own like
just
thing.
just give him the fuck, just give him a comic book. Just call it John Stewart, Green Lantern. Boom.
Yeah,
You
like
go good.
maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like 90% sure he does not have straight up just his own run as a character.
I'm gonna search that up right now. John Stewart, Justice League. I mean, no, Green Lantern run. Hmm. New 52. The New 52 Green Lantern core series. So it seems like he appears in like kind of ensemble kind of
Yeah, right.
stuff
Like
where
he's
it's
never
like
really been the focus, like straight up, like, oh, he's the guy.
John Stewart headlined a solo Green Lantern. Oh,
wait. Might have found something at least. I'm trying to help you out here. Maybe help you get add to your comic collection here because you're right. It doesn't seem like usually it's Hal that
Yeah,
kind of
like
gets
I know he has like a big part in like the New 52 run, the Green Lantern Corps, and like all that. Like he has like good roles in them. Just like he's never just had like, oh, he's the lead the whole way. You go with the like his story, and then like Hal and others pop into his narrative. It's always he pops into another person's narrative.
okay. I got two Green Lantern runs that headline John Stewart for you. So the last year they released one called Green Lantern War Journal.
War Journal.
Okay. Yep. It's called the series featured John Stewart attempting a quiet life on Earth, hoping
Ooh.
to retire from the career. Okay. But soon John is forced to wear the power ring once more when a deadly mystery emerges. Okay, so it's kind of
All right,
a little,
some.
yeah. And then back in the 90s, there was kind of there was one called Green Lantern Mosaic, Mosaic. So
I
there's,
saw that somewhere. Yeah,
yeah. So I just wanted to give you a couple options because it didn't seem like there were too many, and
there's not.
which is just kind of crazy considering the popularity of Jon Stewart, especially after his appearances in the cartoons. So yeah,
Yes.
boom.
All right, good to know. All
Thank
right,
you.
I think that wraps it up on the Green Lantern talk.
Hmm.
We still have a lot left anyway.
Hmm.
And let's get into another casting that had people half up in arms. Actually, honestly, more up in arms than this one, even I would say. Booster Gold. This
Oh
was
yeah.
a this was a controversy for people, man. I will just put it out there now. Forget about Josh Brolin being a bit of a surprise. This was like a out of
Huh.
left field pick for me. And look, for just be clear, I actually loved the pick even more than I think I liked the Brolin pick. Like this
Hmm.
pick in particular, I was like, oh, I absolutely see it. I just never in a million years would have thought of this person.
Yeah, I gonna be honest here. I kind of assumed they were gonna go with the blonde white dude.
Well,
Like it,
I mean that's fair to assume. I mean that's what he
like
was. That's his
like
character.
yeah, I thought they were gonna. I had Glenn Powell penciled down for that one, but
That was my dream pick, but I knew it would never happen.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, come on, that yeah, I'm terrible at pronouncing Kumal's
It's
name.
yeah, Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah, I'm just bad at pronouncing names. But yeah, he was obviously in Eternals, and
Right.
I'm still waiting on the sequel for that. No, that's not happening.
Never
Um,
happening.
yeah, that's Bob Iger came in, shut that down pretty quick. He's like, so
We failed that franchise. Anyway, moving on.
yeah, it's but at least Barry Keoghan and then Kumal kind of landed on their feet. They're like, okay, I could play this kind of uh flirty character. Okay, I get to play the Joker now. Um, I think I'd rather play the Joker. And yeah, so yeah, those two guys landed on their feet. Angelina Jolie, she's gonna be just fine. Richard Madden,
Yeah,
probably gonna be like he's on the short list definitely for James Bond.
yeah, for
So
sure.
like he'll be fine. He's got that look. He's gonna do something. So like all those guys are gonna be good. But like going back to Booster Gold here, I mean, once I heard the casting, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that actually works. That actually because he like a lot of people get all up in arms about, well, he's not white. He's not like in the
And he's
comics. Well,
46. That's so old.
he's so old. But then you just kind of you get that vibe from him that's very Booster Goldie, where it's like, yeah, I see that. He's got that kind of just that kind of vibe to him that kind of matches Booster Gold. The CW, I think it was either Smallville or it was
Blue Smallville.
the Arrowverse. They did Booster Gold and they got the guy from Scrubs, I think. Not Zach Braff. Forgot his name. But he wasn't white. And so, but he did a fine job. So yeah, I mean that Booster Gold. does not need to be a blonde white dude. You know, that's not important. As long as the actor just can play the character, perfectly fine. And like Kumal can do that. Like that when I heard it was him, I was like, oh yeah, that tracks. That fits.
Right.
And
Yeah, no,
so
without a doubt. And
yeah.
like another thing to keep in mind too is, I've heard a lot of people mentioning, oh, so he's going to be old and he's not going to be able to talk with Blue Beetle and the same. Well, I mean, well, keep in mind, like Blue Beetle we have right now, we have Zolo playing, and he's only 23.
Mhm.
And the whole point in that movie is that Ted Cord, which is, the Blue Beetle that actually interacts with Booster Gold a lot, he's supposed to be older to match
Yeah,
the canon of the Blue Beetle movie we have already. Because that movie,
correct.
while not technically canon, is still largely going to be thought of as canon realistically in this DCU because they're bringing him back and they're bringing back, seemingly most of that family. So yeah, I'm sure they're keeping, a good chunk of that story the same. Otherwise, it kind of gets a little too convoluted. So, to keep it all in line, you have to make Ted Cord older anyway. So why wouldn't you make Booster Gold about the same age to match that? Then it just seems like the logical thing to do.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I mean, well, like you said, Ted and Booster Gold will probably interact, I would assume.
When
Um,
they have to. If they don't, that would be a disappointment. Like those are two characters that people love their interactions in the comics, and for good reason. There are one kind of goes with the other, like PB and J, man. It's just right. Just right.
yeah, exactly. So I'm not worried about that. And then you'll obviously have Jaime Reyes. You know, he'll probably interact with, I would assume, like Damian Wayne, maybe eventually, like
Hmm.
or maybe hopefully like Tim Drake. I don't know. But like something like that. He'll interact with more like the legacy characters, and then there's levels to this, I guess you can say, where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the older characters will interact with one another, and then the younger guys will interact. You know, the sidekicks, the legacy characters, all that they'll interact there. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. All that's missing now is getting a Ted Cord casting.
You
You know,
mean Jason Sudeikis?
yeah, apparently that's been just kind of the long rumor thing. I think Zolo wanted it, right? He
I
was
would
like,
be, yeah, and also like the picture in the house looked like a lot like Jason Sudeikis for what it's worth in the movie, and just thinking logically, Jason Sudeikis has a good relationship with Kamal Nanjiani. Like as long as he's available, like it seems like that's kind of the guy they want. So I'd imagine if it's possible, that probably will happen, unless there's like a legitimate like conflict of schedule and consistency where it's like, what, it's just not going to work.
sorry,
But
folks, gotta go shoot Ted Lasso season 4.
and isn't he
Um,
done with Ted Lasso now?
well, no, they're making a season 4 now, so he's in negotiations to return for that. But they won't have to worry about that for a while though, because they'll probably shoot Ted Lasso next year. They're not going to shoot Booster Gold until probably like 2026 anyway. So I
But
think
no,
we'll be
not gonna be that late. It'll be 2025. But
he'll be able they'll fit it in. That's what she said. They'll fit it in. They're also I wouldn't anticipate him needing like a super long shooting schedule for either show. So
right.
yeah, he will shoot his scenes and he will get his money.
Yes. And I just want to address this now because it's in line with both of these topics we've been talking about. I really, really am tired of the everybody in the DCU is old narrative because it's kind of getting really dumb now. Like it's getting straight up stupid. Like I understand there are some characters maybe that you're like, oh, I wish they were a little younger. That's different.
Yeah,
Like you can have that feeling. That's fine. But like, A, there's a clear intent behind the choice to make some older right now, whether it be for the reasons I stated earlier in the case of like matching Ted Cord, or just simply in the case of, Green Lantern, you want to have the veteran cop, the younger cop storyline. And I think just in general, well, we know this already, but this is an established DC universe. Heroes have been around for a while, evidently. And I
hmm
think a big part of what they want to do is have this kind of feeling of new generation, old generation with the different heroes of this world, and kind of maybe even at times have them kind of at odds with each other, honestly. I think that's going to be a big part of because he James Gunn has already very much not necessarily said, but teased that he's very much a big fan of the Kingdom Come storyline, and there's been the whole theory of we're getting the reverse Kingdom Come in the DCU with Superman and so on and so forth. And on that front, I do think that there is a very intentional dichotomy that we're going to see built up between the older heroes and the younger heroes. And we're getting a healthy balance of both so far. And for what it's worth, there's a lot of other, characters we have yet to even see be cast that we know are coming. I mean, we're getting a Titans movie too at some point. That's obviously going to be younger heroes, but to elaborate a little further, like
Oh yeah,
we have we have the older ones like Kumail Nanjiani. We have potentially Josh Brolin.
Batman's gonna
We
be older too.
yeah, he's going to be a little older. Maybe not probably not too old. I think 40s for him probably, which honestly
Yeah, I would
not
say
that big a
late.
deal.
I would say late 30s, early 40s for that
Right.
guy.
That's my expectation there. And across the board, what's the other? Oh, right, Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion's like 50. So yeah, you got some older people, sure, but you also have very young Superman. You have a
Yeah,
fairly yeah, continue.
we do need to adapt that scene of Batman punching Guy Gardner at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we
have a
just we
younger
just
Superman,
yeah,
like
I think that's the thing that throws people off is that
right.
like there are a bunch of older kind of DC heroes, and then Superman's only like 30, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like because like usually you would assume like Bruce, Barry, Diana, Barry, Hal, even Martian Manhunter are all kind of in a similar. They all kind of show up around the same time, and in this universe, it's very clearly not the case. Like Hal's probably been doing this for like 20 plus years. Bruce
Right.
has been Bruce is already on Damien as his Robin, so he's definitely been around for at least a decade plus. So like he's been doing his thing. Guy Gardner's been around clearly, unfortunately. um, so yeah, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with Flash. Do you go straight to Wally, like in the DCAU, and kind of go that way, or
Yeah, I think they go right to Wally, and we eventually see an older Barry Allen. I think
yeah,
again, like it just fits in with the theme of what they're doing right now.
mm,
I think it's very clear that like Hal Jordan, they don't mind him being older because, like we said earlier, John Stewart is the Flash, no, not the Flash, sorry, the Green Lantern of the future here. He's the focus of Green Lantern moving forward, and probably maybe even a Kyle Rayner eventually, but not right now. Right now, it's John Stewart is the focus solely
mhm.
as far as young lanterns go. And on top of that too, like I think of Batman specifically. I would not like it if he was in his 50s. I'll put that out there now. I prefer
No,
Batman to not be that old. I think it's important to have the world's finest Batman and Superman at least be close enough.
yeah,
I don't, they don't gotta like Hal Jordan. It makes sense for him to be older, and I don't mind that. I think it works there. I think it even works. Guy Gardner, him particularly, honestly, he's the one so far where I'm like, I would have liked him to be younger, honestly. But as far as the rest of the quote unquote older castings, I don't mind them, honestly. I think it works for the world and doesn't really harm anything. But in terms of like Batman,
mm.
he should not really be older than like 45, like tops, and even that's a
Mm.
little old, but like
No,
I
I would assume even
you know,
younger.
yeah, canonically at least, like if the actor's 45 and he looks younger, whatever, I don't give a shit. But like as far as the story goes, he should be not much older than 40 on the dot or late 30s. Like that's kind of as far as it should go, just so it's not like the Batman and Superman are from totally different eras. That would be a little extreme to me. You want them to at least feel somewhat close. Like Guy Gardner, not Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan should kind of feel like a man of the past, a living legend. Like that's kind of what he is in this world. That's the point. Batman
Mm.
should not be that. He should still be very much in his prime. Really, yeah, in his
Yeah,
prime. Like, in the
yeah.
middle of his career in his prime.
I want prime Batman. I don't because like if you go past his prime, you're kind of doing the Ben Affleck thing again, which is yeah. You want to do something that's you don't want to be Pattinson young, but you don't want him to be Affleck old. You kind of want that middle ground
Mm.
where like, and also, he's got his Robins, so I mean. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be nice.
Ironically, Affleck was probably like only 43 when he filmed for Batman.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
he was.
he can pull it off. Like I'm not saying like someone of that ilk could even work in this world. It's about how you portray him and what you make him in the canon what really
Pretty,
matters.
pretty much. Like you could do kind of a thing where, like, I think Affleck's Batman was 45 in not like Affleck himself, but like the character was canonically 45 in Batman versus Superman, and
Uh-huh.
he said 20 years in Gotham, so you would assume he started at like 25. Like
Right.
so like that's a 20-year kind of thing. I think you could do something where he starts at 25 and maybe in the DCU, this new universe. I think you could probably do something around year 10, year 11, where he's like 36, 37, around there.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I would personally like it. Right around there is perfect.
I
So I'm hoping
ironic
that's where we
I,
go.
Ironically speaking, Robert Pattinson is like 37.
Uh-huh.
Which is funny because he just looks younger than
He
what he
looks
actually
young.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about in Hollywood, it's not about how old you are, it's about how old you look.
Yes.
Like
Without a doubt.
Tom Holland's 28, he's still playing like an 18-year-old.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
And
it's true.
yeah, so yeah, it's just about how it's about the look, not about yeah.
Yes.
Glenn
And
Powell is
it's
Batman. No, he's not.
I mean, hey, for what it's worth, I if I'm James Gunn and Warner Brothers, I am throwing the biggest bag of cash at that man to play Batman. I'm just saying, he's 35 years old and he already basically said like I have a certain take I would love to do on this character that's a little more like akin to like the Keaton type. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's exactly what this universe needs, honestly. And
I
I
want
think
you to
he'd be
tell your friends about me.
I think he would be perfect for it. I do. Again, it's not going to happen. I would say it's a 0.2% chance, maybe. But there's no reason why they shouldn't just throw the largest bag of cash at him because think about how good it would be just from a promotional standpoint to say you have Glenn Powell at the forefront of your universe. Like
Yeah,
that would be a big deal.
yeah, that would be cool. I don't really see. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure he could play Batman, but like,
I think he could. I mean, at the very least, I definitely see a Bruce Wayne right there, like without a doubt.
he has an
I
he has a very interesting face.
yes, he
Um,
does.
it's a very interesting face, but you know what? He can make it work. He can make it work. He's a little he's a little too farm boy though for me. He's a Texas boy. I don't know how I feel about that. Usually we get some British dude to play Batman.
It's true. You've got to break the
Um,
mold.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he would do a great job. Like there are a bunch of actors that I'm sure. But you know what's kind of crazy is like besides like the Superman cast, because the Superman cast kind of came together and we were kind of like, oh yeah, that guy would be good, and then he actually got the job, David, and then
Yes.
Rachel Brosnan. We're like, oh, she looks the part, and then she got it. As a But everything outside of that, in terms of the DCU, in terms of the casting, has been kind of out there for sure. Like you have
Yes. Yes.
James Gunn's brother is playing Maxwell Lord, for example. Like
Hmm.
that's an out there kind of casting. You got like obviously Brolin just got offered Al Jordan. You got Kamal's playing Booster Gold. It's kind of like, oh,
You
that's
know,
interesting.
it's interesting because right now they are not. It's obvious they're not going to be star driven, really. I don't think as a
Mm.
whole. Like, even Brolin, like he's a star, but he's a different kind of star. Like he's not like your typical star. He's a little different,
Yeah, he's like, here's the thing. He's like, you see that guy, and you're like,
and
oh,
you know who he is.
yeah, you're like, I've seen that guy before, and he's usually in good stuff, so I'm gonna watch this because it's probably good. As opposed to like Tom Cruise, where it's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch Tom Cruise jump off like a building for 2 hours and kind of that whole
Yes.
thing, which is perfectly
Uh-huh.
fine. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the DCU has definitely started in a very interesting way.
Mhm.
even the slate's interesting because they're not just starting with Superman, they're starting with just a random animated show that
Yeah,
actually that actually looks cool. So
it does look cool. And it's interesting because like you look at Marvel and how they started off, and everyone always likes to, in hindsight, it's oh, they had such big name. I mean, they weren't really big names at the time though. Contextually, they became big names because of Marvel. And that was obviously the whole debate of like, are they really movie stars or are they something else? Because they're known as the character's the star, not the actor. And in some
yeah,
cases that could be true. Like in the case of like a Chris Hemsworth, like, he's Thor, and people go to see him because Thor.
fucking Thor. Yeah,
Like
that was
no one.
his.
It's kind of how
Yeah,
it is with him.
yeah. Nobody knew Hemsworth. Hemsworth was a newcomer. Chris Evans had been around in the business for a while, but he hadn't really had like that huge big break. Like Fantastic Four was supposed to be
Yes.
that, but like it wasn't necessarily received. It's gotten better reception over time, but like at the when it was releasing, yeah, diminishing returns.
Yes.
So it wasn't really his big break. He's doing a bunch of interesting stuff, honestly. Like he does actually have a really interesting kind of career, like a body of work. But like when he got Captain America, that kind of just like that's when people really took notice and they're like, oh shit,
Mhm.
that guy's really fucking good.
And
So
and RDJ was a comeback story. He was
yeah,
a name. He was a name, but he needed to reestablish
yeah,
himself. No one wanted to hire him. It was different
yeah,
times for him.
yeah. RDJ was like, yeah, the poor guy kind of fell into kind of a dark kind of path and he had to pull himself out first before he could really get that second chance. And then he obviously did, made the most of it, made a shit ton of cash. Um,
And Scarlett
and
Johansson too. She wasn't really a big name before Marvel, I don't think, unless I'm bugging, right? Like
uh,
Iron Man 2,
yeah,
like when she was
on,
pretty unknown
on,
still. Oh, Lost in
on,
Translation, forgot.
unironically, I think she might have been the biggest name.
No, she was.
Yeah,
I forgot Lost in Translation
because
was a thing.
well, also let's not forget, like Scarlett Johansson in her prime was one of the most beautiful women in like
Well, yeah, I meant more like in terms of movie
well, like
roles, but
yeah, but also like she was like God. Okay, she was like, oh, someone they got her to play Black Widow, which is funny because Emily Blunt was originally supposed
wait,
to do it.
my life just changed. I never knew that Scarlett Johansson was in a leading role in Home Alone 3. That just changed my life.
Yep, yep,
I
great
was
movie.
never aware of this information.
Yeah, she was a child actress, and then she just kind of continued with it. Oh yeah, she was honestly probably the biggest name.
I think
Um,
her and at the time, obviously, Ed Norton, honestly, because he was coming off of American History X.
yeah, yeah, Ed Norton, but then Ed Norton
Yes.
was Ed Norton and yada yada
Yes.
yada. But yeah, so yeah, Ruffalo was decently big as well. I mean, he was an Oscar winner. I mean, an Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
He was in Zodiac with Downey. So like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
he was in third. What was it? 13 going on 30 with Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Marvel really built up a lot of their younger, unknown-ish actors, and I think DC is really looking to do the same to start. I think eventually they will go for some big star power, but right now it's kind of just, get some pretty well-known stars, so to speak, in the case of like a Brolin or
Mhm.
in Superman, honestly, the star of that movie casting-wise, probably like a Nicholas Hoult. Like he's probably the biggest name in that cast, right? Like,
Yeah, probably him because he was obviously in Mad Max. He was in X-Men. But he's had a crazy kind of career. If you look at Nicholas Holt's body of work, it's just like
it's a lot.
banger after banger after banger after banger. It's like, oh, okay, this fucking guy is just he knows how to pick. He knows how to
Yes.
pick them. So he's probably the big one, and obviously him being the ultimate baddie is kind of that's a good sign. And
Yes,
Brosnahan, she's an Emmy-winning actress, so
of
she's
course. She's a big name, just not movie
kind
name.
kind of like the kind of out of the trio, the main trio of Superman, Lex, and Lois. David's the one that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit the
Yes,
most, and which is honestly kind of what you want because like it's kind of
I
similar
agree.
to it's kind of similar to Christopher Reeve a little bit, where it's like, okay, I know it's honestly kind of similar to all the live action Superman actors, where it's like they got Gene Hackman and Margot Kidder, right? And those two were bigger than Chris. That was like Chris's first big movie role, Superman.
Uh-huh.
And then Brandon Rouse was kind of the same thing, Kevin Spacey, unfortunately. But Kevin Spacey as an actor,
It was a big
obviously
name. Yeah.
big name, Oscar winner. And then they didn't have Lex Luthor and Man of Steel, and Henry Cavill got the role, but they had, Mike, Michael Shannon and Russell Crowe and Amy Adams. And so like that, like Superman's usually the one that's kind of flying under the radar, and it's up to the actor to kind of stand out. Obviously, kind of Christopher Reeve kind of outshined all of those fuckers in those movies, though. Like he's like,
Mhm.
no, 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 this is my movie. When every time Christopher Reeve is on the screen, he's usually the best actor in the scene, in those Superman movies. And hopefully David follows suit. From the set photos and kind of the vibe he gives off in those set photos, um, he's definitely he's definitely got that kind of Superman-y kind of feel. It's also he's like the first Clark Kent that actually looks really, really different. Like if you look at his Clark Kent, it's like I don't see Superman. Like it doesn't even look really all that much like David. His kind of face is kind of weird.
Mhm.
Like he just and that's good. That's a compliment. That is a compliment because like I can you can definitely see someone walking past that guy and just not looking twice. They're like, that's not Superman. That's just some random fucking doof with glasses
Mhm.
and broccoli hair. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, I think David's gonna do a great job. I'm excited. I think that movie's just exceptionally well cast. I mean,
Yes.
there's not one actor in there where I'm like, no, they don't really they're not doing it for me.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for the whole cast. I mean, everybody's cast perfection so far. I mean, we already talked about obviously Brosnahan and Nicholas Hoult, but I mean, even just the other members, Isabel Merced as Hawkgirl, I think is gonna be really great. I think it's an awesome pick. Um,
Hmm.
I really like I pronounce his name. The guy playing this terrific. Is it Edie? How do you pronounce his
Oh
first
yeah,
name?
yeah.
Edie?
Ironically, he was wasn't he in X-Men First Class with Nicholas
Yeah,
Hoult?
yes, he's the one that died that was unable to die, yes.
That fucking meme, man. That fucking meme. But yeah, yeah, that guy. And the Mr. Terrific outfit looks great. They quite literally just said, yeah, we're gonna do the comic book.
Sorry, I had to do something.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah.
So yeah, no, the other members are really exciting too. I mean, Wendell Pierce, I think, is probably one of the more exciting pieces for me. I think that's gonna be like an
Yeah,
amazing casting.
they hired like on those kind of secondary roles, they hired like a lot of character actors as opposed
Yes.
to like stars. Like the actor and actress playing Ma and Pa Kent, they're not really
Yes.
super well known, but they're just kind of like those character actors where you're like, oh shit, you see him showing up and you're like, okay, they fit the role that they're supposed to play, which is the most important thing ultimately.
Yeah, and the last casting I'll note just because I love it so much. It's honestly, this might even be my favorite because it just looks so right. Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy. I feel like they just found real life Jimmy Olsen and put him in the movie. Like
Yeah,
that casting just feels so on the money. I have a feeling that
the
he's gonna steal the show, I think, in a lot of ways.
the the pictures that Gunn released made me crack up laughing because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's Jimmy. Yep. So yeah, that cast is fucking stacked. Um, hopefully, there's a nice blend of kind of storytelling and spectacle because I feel like Superman films have they've struggled a little bit with that. Where it's like Superman Returns definitely kind of was kind of a slow burn of sorts. and then Man of Steel was a slow burn at first, and then like the last half of the movie is just Metropolis getting destroyed. And so it's kind of like I want like a nice balance of Clark Kent's life as like, doing reporter shit.
Right.
Being a reporter, kind of trying to flirt with Lois a little bit, trying to see what's up there. Kind of saving cats out of trees. And then also having this kind of bigger thing building up on the surface. All those set photos of like the Daily Planet newspapers where he's like doing his little poses and he's like stopping a train and all that. That's like, yeah, come on. And
Yeah.
it's nice that we have a Superman that's like established and
Yes.
has already been doing that shit.
Yeah, the
I
set
don't I
pictures were incredible. We never even got to talk about them, but they were all absolutely amazing. Every single picture just made my jaw drop.
like, yep, they did that. They got that right. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see kind of what we find out about the history, like the backstory of all these characters in terms of like how long he's been doing this as Superman. Is this like Superman year two, or did he get started at like 25? Is he in like year five and he's just still like 30? Or like, I'm just excited to see like, does he have kind of like a history with Lex Luthor? Does he,
Right.
are he and Lois already dating, or is she still kind of giving him the cold shoulder? Yada, 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 go, all that. I'm interested to see kind of, obviously Podcan is still alive in this, which is interesting. And also we haven't gotten a casting for Jarrell,
Yeah,
so
no.
I'm interested to see, A, does he, because they're shooting up north, so I would assume the Fortress of Solitude is somewhere to be found. Um,
Mhm.
and so I'm interested to see, do we have like a hologram of Jarrell, or is it just like a voice? Is someone just doing voice acting? um, Kind of like Smallville, because
Right.
Smallville Jor-El was kind of just a voice. So like there's just like a lot of different ways you could go with it. Um, so like I'm just excited to see kind of, because this is not an origin story, I'm excited to see what this character has already been through, and now we're just kind of joining him of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's going to be a lot to learn about what this universe actually entails, and not just with Superman, like you were talking about, but really the entire world and where they're at with Maxwell Lord and how that applies to the other heroes. Because there's been a lot of speculation about how much influence he has over the other ones based on the suits they're wearing with the Maxwell Lord Tech logo. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot we still don't know, but it's clear that Gunn has a distinct plan in place for this universe, its heroes, and where they're going, as well as where they've been, which is nice because we had so much time where it felt like there wasn't a plan. And
yeah,
now I do believe that we are in capable hands, and that alone makes really just puts me at ease. Even when I have certain questions like, "Ooh, I wonder, like, should I be worried about them?" I'm like, you know what, just wait and find out, because I know that I have somebody that actually cares about the source material. So more likely than not, it's gonna make sense in the end.
yeah. And also I'm interested to see like, I think there's a really interesting story to potentially be told if this is where Gunn is going, which we kind of assume he is, where it's like what happens in a world where Superman's kind of like, you have these superheroes, right? Like Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl, who have kind of sold out to the corporation, right? And you've got this one guy in Metropolis who's more powerful than them all, and he's just absolutely incorruptible. Like, as much as they're trying to get him to like join the team and yada yada yada,
Hmm.
or like join, kind of sell out the way they have, he just won't do it. He just doesn't believe in that shit. And I think there's just something really cool about, like a really cool story to tell there. And it seemed like they're going that way. And I think obviously Superman is a character that kind of, he's known for inspiring others, right? And so I'm interested to see if by the end those other characters that did sell out kind of go back on that, and they're like, you know what, we should be following this guy's lead. I don't want to, I'm not in the hero business for to wear like corporate logos and that kind of shit.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's kind of a great. I think like Superman's like the perfect character to tell that story with, because he's just an incorruptible force of good. Like, like that's Superman at like. If you want to sum up Superman, that's about right. So yeah, and I think that you just know. I mean, you and I both saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Okay, you just know if they tell that story, there are gonna be moments in there that'll just make us fucking tear up.
Yes.
Um, like I almost cried over CGI raccoons. Okay,
Yes.
like he's really good at that. He's good at telling a story. So, my assumption is like, yeah, that they're gonna tell a story that we weren't necessarily expecting, but because we got it, it's like, oh, yeah, this is good. This is some good stuff. And then obviously, God knows how to direct action. He's been doing it for quite a while with those folks over at Marvel. So yeah, so I think there's going to be a nice blend of a story that we want to see told, as well as tugging on those heartstrings as well, which is important.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think they're going to tug on all those heartstrings because that's just what James Gunn specifically does from every project that we've seen from him. Guardians 1, 2, 3, Peacemaker, Suicide Squad. Like there is not a movie by James Gunn in the comic book universe that has not found a way to touch you on an emotional level. Truly. Yeah, some more than others, of course, but I never have felt there was ever a lack of heart in one of his projects, and I think that is the tell of a really special storyteller and director. And that's why, again, this universe is in good hands and he's making all the right decisions so far. I think he's saying all the right things. And obviously, you got to see the product truly come to fruition in the way we hope, but all the signs are positive. And right now, that's kind of what we have to go on. That's really all we have, but that's enough for me right now. That is absolutely enough for me.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. I mean, there's no reason to suspect James Gunn won't do what he's been doing for like the last decade, and that's just delivering some good shit. Like, hey, I mean, he just like he's earned the benefit of the doubt. Even if there's something where you're kind of like, I'm not sure about that. Like he's just kind of earned it because he's just been making good shit for like the last like decade. So, yeah, I couldn't be happier from what I've seen. And even on the things I'm kind of curious about, I'm curious in an excited way and not in a oh God, are they gonna fuck this up way, which is important.
Yes, I would say that is fairly important. All right, for today, I gotta call it. I think that was really great, though. We got to really go through the main two stories regarding casting and kind of discuss the wider scope of where this universe is heading. There will be
Hmm.
more we discuss as we get closer. Obviously, when Creature Commandos debuts, we're not too far off from Joker now. It's like about a month away, which is crazy.
Hmm.
And I believe they're doing IMAX screenings a week before the official release, so like it's going to be out there even earlier than the regular date. So I am going to try to catch the earliest screening I could, hopefully, because I am beyond excited for that movie. Truly, it looks amazing so far.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it as well, and hopefully it's good. If it's not, well, we also have Penguin in a few weeks,
Yep, that too.
so hopping right back in there. That whole Batman universe, excited for that. Batman Part 2 starts filming next year. We got that confirmed, which is great.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll probably get some casting within probably I would say like December around there. And
Ironically, we're probably going to get Brave and the Bold casting updates by the end of the year too, because they're both supposed to film around the summer.
wow. So yeah, I mean it's looking good. So yeah, gonna be I'm happy we're back. Hopefully, hopefully these projects, deliver. That's really all I have to say.
Yeah, I think that sums it up good, man. Next time we do this, we'll definitely do a Marvel episode, kind of cover everything there because there is a lot. to put it gently, between the trailers, the RDJ
Yeah,
news.
I
We
get.
haven't.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot. Like if we did both, oh my God, we'd be on it for
if
like 3 hours.
if we did both, we'd be doomed.
I see what you did.
Thank you, thank you. I'm 24 now, so I'm gonna be just making dad jokes for the rest of my life.
All right, people. This has been another wonderful episode of Cave Time, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.
Peace.